Hey guys, and welcome to this video. In this video, we're going to talk about the rest of the questions for Algebra 5. Here, we're going to talk about solving for x, okay? So first, we're going to factorize and then solve. That's the idea of solving. So factorize and then solve, that's the main idea. So let's see some questions here. First, let's talk about question 5, and then we'll do the rest of the hard questions. Let's cover these. So the first step before solving, you have to factorize the equation that you have in front of you. So when you factorize, it means you need double brackets. So double brackets like this. Okay, let's make it bigger. Brackets like this. So here we have x and x. So that's the first step, x, x. And then this one is equal to 0, of course. So first, here, you look at this sign. This is a positive sign. It means an addition sign. And addition means you add the numbers. And adding the numbers, it means they must be the same. They must have the same signs. So this one must be positive, and this one must be positive. So this means that they must have the same sign. Now, having the same sign, after you finish with the signs, you look at the number and you're supposed to factorize the number. So you come to the 96 here and you factorize it. 96 is 1 times 96. You factorize by big numbers by dividing. So you divide 96, for example, over 2. If you get a decimal, you don't use it. So it's 2 times 48, like this. And then you divide it by 3. Okay, 96 divide 3. You get 32. So 3 times 32. And then you divide it by 4. So 96 divide 4. It's 24. So 4 times 24, like this. Okay. So you divide it by 4, it's 24. And then you divide it by 5. So 96 divide 5 is a decimal. 96 divide 6 is 16. So divide 6 is 16. So 6 times 16 is 96. And then divided by 7, it's a decimal. By 8 is 12. So 8 times 12. And then by 9 is a decimal. By 10 is a decimal. By 11 is a decimal. Now we can stop here by 8, okay? Now, the idea of factorizing, it means you need two numbers. When you multiply them, you get this. So after factorizing 96 and finding the factors of 96, we need two numbers. When you multiply them, you get 96. We already established that. Now we need these two numbers that when you add them, you get 22. So we look at the factors here. We start adding the factors. So this plus this is not 22. This plus this, same idea. This plus this, same idea. So 6 plus 16, 6 plus 16 will equal to 22. It means we're going to take these two numbers and use them here. So 6 and 16. When you multiply them, you get 96. And when you add them, you get 22. Now, this is the first part, which is factorizing the equation. Now we're going to come to the solving part. Solving, you can do it very fast by using the opposite of these numbers. So here you're going to say that x equals -6 because it's the opposite of +6. Same idea here. X will equal -16, which is the opposite of this one. Or you can do it by using the steps of solving. And you do this by taking this fraction, not fraction, taking this the whole bracket, make it equal to 0. So the first bracket, x plus 6 equals 0. Now you take the 6 to the other side, so x equals -6. Same idea as we did here. Same idea with this bracket, so x plus 16 will equal 0. And then you take the 16 to the other part, so x equals -16. And this one is the same idea that we did with the other part. And that's how you answer a question like this. Now, let's move on to question 6. We're going to follow the same steps with extra methods here. So question 6, 24x squared minus 48x minus 72 will equal 0. So for this question, first we have to factorize, and factorizing by taking a common number outside the bracket. So I'm going to use the two factorizing methods and then finish with solving the equation. First, I'm going to factorize by breaking down these elements here. So this one is 24 times x squared, or 24 times x, same idea. This one is going to be 24 times 2x, like this. Because when you multiply 24 by 2x, you'll get 48x. And this one is 24 multiplied by 3. This means that you can take the 24 as a common number, like this. So I'm going to take the 24 outside the bracket, like this, and leave this inside the bracket with the signs that you have here. So this one's going to be negative, and this one's going to be negative. So let's take the 24 outside like this, 24, and then you open a bracket and put the rest of the equation inside. So x squared minus 2x minus 3, okay? And then you close the bracket, and then you make it equal to 0, like this. So here, this is x power of 2, and this one is 2x. Now, we already have the 24 outside. Now, we're going to factorize this expression. This expression, when you factorize it, you open two brackets, double method. Yes, you already have the 24, so the 24 will be written, and then the double bracket method like this, bracket 1, bracket, and then equal 0. We're going to follow the same steps of factorizing. This is negative. You write subtraction on top of it. Now, you need two numbers. So subtraction means what? It means, first, let's put the x's here. Subtraction, when do you subtract? You subtract when you have different signs. It means one of them will be positive and the second one will be negative, like this. Now, you need two numbers. When you multiply them, you get 3. And when you subtract them, you get 2. So basically, when you write the factors of 3, it's going to be 1 times 3. These are the only factors for 3, 1 times 3. So these are the numbers that you're going to use here. So when you multiply them, you get 3. And when you subtract them, you get 2. And the negative 2 means what? It means that the negative should be the sign of the bigger number. So the bigger number is 3. So I'm going to put it here. So the answer is going to be x plus 1, x minus 3, multiplied by 24. And then this will equal 0. This is the factorizing part. Now let's come to the solving part. As I said, the solving, you might take this one and say this is the opposite of 1, which is negative 1. So you say x equals negative 1, like this. And the opposite of positive 3 is going to be negative 3 is going to be positive 3. So x equals positive 3. Or take the whole bracket, make it equal to 0. So x plus 1, let's make it here. X plus 1 equals 0. You take plus 1 to the other side, so it's going to be negative 1, like this. So x equals negative 1. Same idea with this one. You say x minus 3 equals 0. And then x will equal to positive 3. And this is how you solve the quadratic expressions. And this is how you answer a question like this. Now, let's move on to the next question. And that's the idea of these quadratic equations. Now, if you have two elements like these or two terms, it's easy to factorize. You break them down, and then you take the common one outside, and then you solve the problem like we did before. Same idea with this one. So as we said, you take a common one outside. If you don't have common ones, it means you have to use the double bracket method, and that's the idea of these questions. Now, these are the problems that lead you to quadratic equations. It means you'll have a problem, and to solve it, you have to use quadratic equations, and then you use the solving part. And because we're talking about lengths, it means you can't use the negative answer, so you must use the positive answer. For example, for this one here, x plus 3 and x, if you're finding the area, as they said here, the area equals 28, it means you're going to say that x times x plus 3 equals 28. And then when you expand, you'll get this one. So x squared plus 3x minus 28 will equal to 0. Now you're going to factorize. So factorizing leads you here. So the answer is going to be x equals negative 7 and x equals 4. Now, because we are talking about the length of a rectangle, the length can't be negative. So the length can't be negative here. So you can't use a negative answer. So the answer will be the positive one, which is x equals 4. And this is the idea of these questions. So when you talk about length, you can't use a negative answer. Same idea with all the questions here. You can do an expression, solve it, and then use the positive answer for the x, or the answer that became positive after solving the expression here. And that's the idea of these questions. This is the revision part. It will have the same ideas, the same questions. If you still have any problems with any questions, you can send me messages and we'll talk about it, or answer it and show me the steps, and we will go through the steps together. And that's it for Algebra 5. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time.